Hi guys, Andy here. I've tried quite a lot of Xiaomi devices, normally to see what the hardware can do for the price that Xiaomi charge, which normally isn't a lot. The software is usually quite a letdown. In fact, it's a deal breaker for me. I've not yet had a Xiaomi as a daily device. But then something like this, the Redmi K20 Pro, comes along, and I kind of have to try it, really, to be honest. It's being called by some the Pocophone F2. Now, those of you in the know will remember the Pocophone F1. It generated a lot of hype for having sort of flagship specs for about £300. I did a review of that last year, obviously, and it was a very capable phone, but it had a few sort of flaws, like the camera. I think the screen wasn't so great. For me, even the build quality was not quite as good as Xiaomi sometimes do. Anyway, we're not reviewing that now. So the K20 Pro came along, and I thought, well, I've got to try that. It's top-end specs. I mean, you could look at it and say, well, it's basically the OnePlus 7 Pro. Very similar, even down to the pop-up front-facing camera. But it's only £410, and you have to think, what? How does Xiaomi do that? I mean, OnePlus are considered sort of quite good at keeping the prices low. But even then, the OnePlus 7 Pro is £700. This is £410 I've paid, including shipping, no import taxes or anything like that. It is the international version, which we'll sort of come to in a little while. But so if we look at the design of the device, you'll see straight away it's got an always-on screen. We'll come to the screen shortly. It's quite distinctive, shall we say. Apparently it's inspired by fire. It comes in carbon black, glacier blue, and of course this is the flame red. And it does look quite different, I suppose. I like how the black fades out into the bright colour. It is a very slippy device though, probably the slippiest device I've ever had. I mean, you get a case with it, and I have actually been using this device with the case on. Case fits very nice. It's a very nice case, actually. There's a slight lip at the edge. I don't know if you think that's a good thing or not. It annoys me a little bit. I know a lot of people ask for it because they want it to protect the screen when it's face down. Why did you put your phone face down? Anyway, different matter. So it is quite a nice sort of soft touch, but it's a hard case. And I just think it's needed. Well, that or a skin, which is a shame because it looks beautiful, but it's so slippy. There's also there's a notification light. We're not going to see it now. There's a notification light in the pop-up camera. So I did notice it for the first time. I don't know if you can quite see that. There's a little circle over on the edge there. I noticed for the first time last night when I had the lights out and watching TV that it was glowing red, which was telling me I had a notification. But otherwise I haven't really noticed it. So yeah, not great. The hardware itself, the chipset is the Qualcomm Snapdragon 855, the 7 nanometer. Which you could argue is getting old now. It's been in devices for a little while, but it's still the fastest Snapdragon that Qualcomm do. It's got an octa-core CPU, which from what I can see is identical to the one that's in the OnePlus 7 Pro. It's got the Adreno 640 GPU. It's got 8 gig of RAM. All that meant that it Geekbenched just over 11,000, which was pretty much the same as the OnePlus 7, pretty much. It also scored on Antutu 360,000, which again, right up there, I think better than anything else I've tested yet. So it's definitely got the raw power like the Pocophone F1 did have. This particular one has got 128 gig of storage. I think you can go, actually, I do wonder if I should have, to 256 gig of storage for like £20 more. I think I've got to go that for £413. I probably should have for £20, double the storage. Not that I need more than 128, but I guess resale value really. It does have NFC. It does have a 3.5mm headphone jack. There's no SD card slot. There's no waterproof rating either. But I don't know, like the OnePlus 7 Pro doesn't have waterproof rating, but OnePlus did say, we didn't want to pay for the rating. It's waterproof, don't worry. I don't have that faith with this device, so that's one of the drawbacks. Another one being, obviously there's no UFS, as far as I know, UFS 3.0 file system. Having said that, it benchmarks just as well as the OnePlus 7 Pro, so does it really matter? There is one solo speaker down the bottom. Let's give you a quick demo of that. We'll do some music first, I suppose. And then over to a podcast for some spoken voice.
Parents are eating, also giving their kids for breakfast. And a lot of times we're cramped for time, and those cereal bars are just quick, throw them in your pocket, eat it on the way to school. Not the best choice.
So it's an interesting one. It is just a solo speaker. It's actually very loud. It scored 93.4 as an average on my test using my sound meter, which is the third best anything has ever scored. I think the OnePlus 7 Pro being one of the devices that's above it. So it is really loud, and actually on podcasts and things and phone calls, it's really nice, loud and clear. But listening to the music, as you might have heard with old Robin Thicke, it doesn't sound great. It is a bit tinny. It's not as rounded as some, and obviously it's not got the stereo, so when you're watching a YouTube video, it is just blasting out one side of the phone. But it's better than most, I would say, the speaker. It depends how sort of tied into the stereo speaker that you are. So the screen is Super AMOLED, 6.39 inches. Excuse me, 6.39 inches. 1080 by 2340, so that's a 19.5 by 9 ratio, and about 403 pixels per inch. As you can see, there's no notch because of the pop-up camera, which I am actually really now beginning to like, having sort of full screen devices. Perhaps more impressively, it reached 782 lumens on my light meter, which is actually really quite brighter than a lot of more expensive devices. A good 100 lumens or so brighter than the OnePlus 7 Pro. Obviously, you'd be a brave person to claim it's a better screen with the OnePlus 7 Pro having the 90 Hz refresh rate, but it's generally, I think it's a really nice looking. I guess let's get a little bit of video up.
First up, the big question: how do you get to ride in GCN kit? Well, it is in fact very simple.
So the screen, I mean, even just the background there, the colours are good, they're strong, they pop, it's clear. I think it's a really nice screen. It is HDR and it's covered by Gorilla Glass 5. There's an in-screen fingerprint sensor, as you see kind of the animation, which generally is pretty good. In fact, it's behaving very well right now. Oh, I kind of missed it there. I would probably say it's about kind of 50 or 60% accurate though, so just hit every single one there, which yeah, isn't uncommon. But there have been times I've been putting my thumb on 3 or 4 times and it's not unlocked. So it's not amazing, it's okay. There is a backup. I've stored my face data and it will use that if the finger fails, and obviously you've got a password to go in afterwards if that is needed. Let's move on to talk about the cameras. There's 3 lenses here, which you kind of need this day and age if you want to compete with the top end phones. The main lens is a 48 megapixel f1.8. That obviously, it doesn't take 48 megapixel photos unless you tell it to, otherwise it uses the pixels to produce a 12 megapixel image. The telephoto 2x lens is 8 megapixel, that's f2.4, and then the ultra wide angle lens is 13 megapixel, which is f2.3. We've kind of mentioned already the pop-up. Let's have a look at that again though. The pop-up front-facing camera, and I do like that, the LED illumination. But the front-facing camera is a 20 megapixel f2.2. Let's have a quick look at the software while we're here, I suppose. It's actually quite stock looking, I think. So we're on photo, look, you can either swipe through to the different modes, or when you're in one of the modes, you can change the lens by tapping on them just there. There's the 48 megapixel mode, portrait, night, panorama, and then pro mode, where you can set a variety of things yourself manually, which I know some people will love. Let's come back to just regular photo. So you get options along the top: look, flash, HDR, what was that one? AI lens, motion pictures, and I think that's beautifying, or that's filters, sorry. We don't really want filters. Tap the 3 lines and we get a few more options, including the settings, as you can see. So yeah, it means the software actually, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. If we move on to the results, so the photos, they're pretty good. They're quite sharp. I think generally the colours are quite strong. They're not necessarily all that consistent. I was walking home from the gym today and I just thought I'd take a picture of the nice sort of leafy, bushy little path I was making my way down. And originally I took it in portrait and then I turned it to landscape. And they seem quite different to me. The portrait one had quite strong colours and the landscape was a little bit washed out. I'm not quite sure why. I mean, they were literally seconds apart, same area, so I don't know quite why it would do that. But yeah, generally the pictures, it's a pretty good camera. The Xiaomi often kind of cheap out and don't really keep up with the others when it comes to the cameras, but it does look like they've made a bit more of an effort here. It does have a night mode, but it kind of is like a budget night mode. It's not great, but it is there. The 2x lens seems pretty good as well. I know some phones, the different lenses won't produce as good results, but they seem to be pretty good. As is the ultra wide angle lens, produces a sort of as good photos as well. There is portrait mode. I took one or two using the front facing lens and it seemed okay. I mean, I wouldn't go much further than okay. And then I kind of managed to take one myself using the main lens, so turning the phone around and pointing at myself and taking a picture, so it was a little bit in your face, but it looks actually, that looks a pretty good portrait mode, to be fair. Video, it can go up to 4K at 60 frames per second. Now I'm sure I read the spec saying it's got electronic image stabilization, but for me that's the one area that I thought it really could do with. So I took some film of me just kind of, again, walking back from the gym, and I did a little bit of a jog, and it doesn't really stabilize all that well, I wouldn't say. Also, I'm not sure the colours pop quite as much as other phones. Not that it's a bad thing, it's perhaps a bit more sort of realistic, but then maybe just not quite as sort of vivid as some people might want. Having said all of that, generally the video looked pretty good. I don't really have any other complaints apart from the stabilization. I would say it's for me, I think it is better quality than Xiaomi have done in the past. So we're going to move on now to the software, which is usually where things start to fall apart. But let's have a look what we're running on this phone first. So MIUI version 10.3.15. I did get an update a couple of days ago, so I think updates come, quick and fast. Well, they come, let's put it that way. We're on Android version 9. The security patch is from the 1st of June. We're halfway through July now. It's not bad, to be fair. I think there's others that probably wouldn't be as up to date as that. I've got some more of the specs of the device. So I think for me, the funny thing is that actually, I almost can't believe I'm going to say it, MIUI isn't that bad these days. It really isn't. There's even, I think there's a launcher, or there's one, maybe it just gives sort of different control. MIUI, is it MIUI notifications, or is it MIUI launcher? That a lot of people talk high level and they put on their devices. I think, how different is that now to like a couple of years ago? So don't get me wrong, it's not like amazing, it's not great, but actually it's quite a nice looking OS now. This particular one, so I think I mentioned earlier on, this is not a global version. This I imported this from China, from Wonder Mobile, and it doesn't come with, or didn't come with the Play Store. You might have seen in the unboxing, I turned it on, it was already like everything was already logged in, so I reset it, and then realised, oh, there's no Play Store. So I can't be sure if they'd put the Play Store on for me, but anyway, it's not actually that hard to do. I searched, how do I put Play Store on my K20 Pro or something like that, and the first link was a forum post on me.com, basically giving you 4 APKs that you just install on the device. It sort of says something on the lines of, everything's actually there on the device, you just got to unlock it, and then they'll give you these 4 APKs. So you go through installing it. So it's kind of funny, you have to go through installing all the Google stuff you want, like Maps, Hangouts, yeah, use Hangouts, Photos, everything you almost have for granted, Gmail, none of it's on here. And it is a little bit weird in that sometimes you press to open something that you imagine would open the Play Store and open some Chinese, the Chinese version, the Mi Store or something like that, which is a little bit weird. Also, it didn't sync contacts properly. So I manually exported them from my old phone to a CVS file or something like that, and then manually imported them back in. That and the location history doesn't turn on. So I do use location history in that, well, you need that on to be able to share your location to family members, for example. So my family, we all share our location just so we know where each other are. And I can't do that on this phone, and I've not yet found a way of enabling that. That's quite a big pain in the bum for me personally. For most people, you're probably quite happy you don't want the location history on. But for me, it was a bit of a bum. I don't think there is a global ROM yet. So I was looking to see, do I need to just flash a global ROM? And it looks like there might be kind of almost a hacked version of XDA, but not an official one. So a bit of a pain. Now, then there's the launcher. And again, I mentioned this in the unboxing. It is horrible. I mean, I don't know if they've kind of tried to copy iOS in some way. So there's no app drawer. And it's just you install things and it just puts them on the end of your home screen. So I just installed Face app. That one makes you look old. Yeah, terrible. And it just put that on. I guess because this space is full. So I went to I mean, what about that space? Really weird. Now, actually, Launchboard saved me because you press that and that's how you find. I did a different video on that somewhere else a couple of days ago, so you can have a look at that if you're interested. But yeah, that really saved me. Otherwise, horrible. Well, obviously, I can install Nova Launcher, but I kind of wanted to stay true to what Xiaomi or Redmi have given me. And it's a horrible launcher, it really is. I mean, I say it's horrible. It's actually smooth, it's fast and smooth, the whole OS. I mean, the power in this device, everything's very quick and smooth. I mean, how fast does that open? It is a nice, smooth experience, so you can't kind of fault it there. But the problem, so you can get around the launcher. The big problem for me are the notifications. I just don't trust it at the moment still. So when I pick up my other phone, my usual regular OnePlus 7 Pro, my daily, that seems to have loads of notifications that this one doesn't, even though I've got the same apps installed. So if I get a message sent to me on Instagram, I don't know about it on this phone. Now it's probably because I've not been in and said, let this app run or something weird like that. So I could probably, if this was going to be my daily, I can probably get around that. Let me know in the comments, if you do run a Xiaomi, do you have that issue, or do you just go through enabling everything and it's all fine? Because that's my big problem at the moment. Yeah, like I wake up in the morning, I haven't got any Gmail, no emails in my Gmail. Well, I know I have to open Gmail and all of a sudden they start loading in. Oh, well, that isn't the kind of pull notifications that you tell me about these things. And again, maybe I've just got to enable it. Maybe it's not enabled to run in the background or something. So I don't know, maybe I should have made more effort to check all that, but I'm not used to it, I suppose. I've got Gmail installed, the emails should just come through. So then you've got another problem where you can't actually expand notifications. So normally I can two-finger drag something down to see the full one. It won't let me do that, so that's a bit of a pain. Nor can you sleep notifications. So if I wanted to sleep one, if I slide over, there's nothing appears. On this side I've got, well, I had settings, or I've got this kind of don't show, which actually I quite like. What can I show you that on? Let's show it on this one. So if I tap this, it says, is it unimportant? Yeah, it is. So I got it, and all the apps that I've set that to are now in this sort of separate little small bar. I actually really like that. That's really clever. So when I'm using my Jabra earphones, it has a service running that allows the Jabras to do whatever they need to do. So they'll have that going. If I'm in the gym, it's got a timer one for till my next set. I've got another one probably with the Google Fit. I've got basically about 8 notifications that are non-dismissible. But with this, I can just hit them on those and it puts them into this unimportant. I actually really like that. So that's what I mean about MIUI. There's some really good features in it. I mean, to be honest, I'm not going to go through it now, but there's loads of stuff in the settings for changing. It's very customizable. They really are getting there. If they can just make these last few changes for me. Yeah, there's another one where, and it's easily done because you can turn it off, but I was getting data warnings for an app that was 18 megs. Are you sure you want to download this over your cell? Do you want to connect to Wi-Fi? No, I think I can cope with 18 meg. And actually, when I found the setting, it was set to anything bigger than 2 meg, it was going to warn me, which seems a bit sort of year 2007 perhaps. But like I say, you can turn that off and it's gone, it's fine. So yeah, it's a really mixed bag in that MIUI, it's getting there. It really is. If they can fix MIUI, that's going to be pretty massive. I could see myself, this device is not that far off something I could use as a daily. The camera could do with being better, but the software is no longer the massive drawback that it used to be. But we'll come to the actual conclusion in a moment, I suppose. So the battery is a 4000 milliamp hour LiPo battery. It's got quick charge 4 plus, which is 27 watts. There's no wireless charging, I guess, kind of obviously. It scored 94% in my battery test. That's like tied for top with a 6000 milliamp hour battery phone. That's really good, really good. Let's have a look at what the Acura stats are saying now, because not really, just leave me alone. So if we look at the bottom there, it reckons I could survive 8 hours with the screen on permanently, and with the screen off 67 hours. What's that? Almost, that's what, 5 hours short of 3 days. So combined use, and this would vary depending how much you use your device, how much the screen is on, but it says combined use 31 hours. Now actually I think it's probably a bit more than that. I have gone 2 days, so I'll come off charge, I think probably quite late, maybe about 10 in the morning, but it's worked fine all the way through to the next day evening. And I don't even think I'll blow about 30%. So really quite impressive battery, really impressive battery. So what do we think? What's the final conclusion? I actually really like it. It's probably, of all that, so the Pocophone F1, as powerful as it was, it still felt a bit like a budget phone. And while this doesn't feel necessarily top end, like the camera is not quite good enough to be top end, most of the rest of it you wouldn't really know. You could give this, I think you could give this to somebody, tell them it was £700, £800 even, and they'll kind of go, oh, okay. And it's £410. The haptic feedback is not as good as others, it's not as strong, but excuse me, but the whole device is fast and responsive. The camera, much as I've just said, it's not top end. It's okay. Maybe verging on good, maybe. Well, you've seen, I kind of let you decide that, I suppose. The battery life is amazing. MIUI is actually quite nice now. The deal breaker for me at the moment is the whole notification issue, but again, I could perhaps, if someone said, right, Andy, that's going to be your daily now for the next year, I would hope there's a way around. Again, someone please leave a comment down below if you do use one as a daily and you kind of found your way around it. I think for £410, it's a really good option. It's a really good option. It's probably the best kind of mid-range, if you say the OnePlus is up into the kind of upper range now, probably the better mid-range option that there is. So, I don't know, yeah. I won't lie, I was a little surprised how good I felt the phone was. So there we go. Who knows? In a year or so, maybe I'll be rocking a Xiaomi as my daily. That's kind of an odd thought, to be honest, for me. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on the video. Please do subscribe if you haven't. As loads of other YouTubers say, I know it annoys people, but hit the old bell so that when I release a new video, you get notified. It helps me out. Hopefully, if you've enjoyed this, I've enlightened you a bit about things and entertained you slightly, then you don't mind trying to help me out. Share the video as well. That's another great one if you wouldn't mind. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But for now, my name's Andy. I'll catch you all again soon. Well done, and thank you for making it to the end of the video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, you might want to click the little fellow that should hopefully appear about here to subscribe. You may also want to check out some of my other videos, which are going to appear somewhere there. Also, come and have a look at my website, androidandy.uk. There is also a forum. Come and say hello on the forum if you've got any questions about things or request me to review things or anything else. Just come and have a chat on the forum.